So this video is integrated to, if this is chapter 4 MA, it's homework number 8, or actually classwork number 8, practice test part 1 for 4.1 to 4.4. This is the no calculator one. Okay, so they ask us what quadrant the terminal side is. So all of my odd pies are going to be right here. And this is not in a quadrant. We're going to say that this is on the negative x-axis. Okay, so if it's on the axis, x or y, specify if it's on the negative x-axis, the positive x-axis, the negative y-axis, or the negative positive y-axis. On B, 23 pi thirds. So the way I like to think about this is I like to get it into even pies. When I say even, I should say whole pies. So 7, that's going to be 21. I have 2 left over. So really, I've gone 7 and 2 pi thirds. So if I go 7, we just saw on the other side that when I go 7, I'm going all the way. And again, I'm going around and around and around, but I'm going to end up over here. And then I'm going to go 2 pi thirds beyond that, which is going to be here. Okay. So again, I go here, which is 7 pi. And then I'm going to go 2 pi thirds beyond that, which is going to be right here. So that's going to put me right here. And so this is going to be in quadrant 4. Give the degree equivalent for each of the following. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to times it by 180 degrees over pi. My pi's are going to cancel out. Now in this case, I am not going to be getting a nice degree answer. 17 times 180 is 3060 over 11. If I divide this by 11, this is going to be about 278 point, let's say 18 repeating degrees. So that's what it's going to be exactly, I guess. Okay. On number 2B, again, I'm going to times it by 180 degrees over pi. And so when I take 16 times 180, I'm going to get 2,000. Let me just get this number. 2,880 pi degrees. Let me divide that by pi. And so I'm going to get about 916 point, let's say 73 degrees is my answer. On number 3, give the radian equivalent for negative 380 degrees. They want an exact value for this. So negative 380 degrees, I'm going to times it by pi over 180 degrees. So I'm going to get a negative 380 pi over 180. So that's going to be a 38 pi over 18. I can divide both of them by 2. And when I take 38 divided by 2, I end up with 19 pi. When I take 18 divided by 2, I get 9. So 19 pi ninths. And this is negative. Sorry, negative. Find the exact values for these. Draw a picture of the angle in the correct quadrant and then give me the points. So I'm starting here, ending here. And so I'm going to end right here. So that's the direction I'm going. I'm going to end right here. And that's going to be at negative 1, 0. Now secant, the reciprocal of secant is cosine. So the cosine of pi is negative 1. The secant is the reciprocal of that. And the reciprocal of negative 1 is negative 1. On B, 120 degrees is going to be right here. So I'm starting here, going here. This is the direction that we went. This point right here is going to be at negative 1/2 comma, root 3 halves. Now this is cotangent. Cotangent is x over y. So I'm going to have my negative 1/2. It is going to be divided by root 3 over 2. Now, when I divide it by root 3 over 2, I'm really going to be timesing by the reciprocal, okay? And so when I do that, I'm going to get a negative 1 over root 3. I'm going to rationalize that, and I get a negative root 3 over 3. On C, a negative 2 pi thirds, so negative, I'm going this direction. So what's going to happen at negative 2 pi thirds, I'm going to be here to here, and this is the direction I'm going. I'm going to end up here, which is at a negative 1/2, negative root 3 halves. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So I basically want the sine of a negative 2 pi thirds first. That's going to be my y, so that's going to be a negative root 3 halves. So my cosecant is going to be the reciprocal, which is going to be a negative 2 over root 3. I'm going to rationalize, multiply top and bottom by root 3, and I get a negative 2 root 3 over 3. This is going to be negative. Let me first take 6 into 43. So that's going to go in 7 times, which is 42 with 1 left over. So I'm going to go a negative 7 pi and pi 6. So for this, negative 7 pi is going to push me to here, and then I'm going the negative direction. And then I need to go a negative another pi 6. That's going to push me here. So in terms of just me drawing this, if they ask me to draw it, I'm going to be starting here. Oops, I went a little overboard on that. I'm going to be starting here, ending here, and then I went around, that's a negative 2 pi, a negative 4 pi, a negative 6 pi, then we went to 7 pi, and then we went 1/6 more. Okay, that was our movement. Now the point here is going to be a negative root 3 halves, comma, positive 1/2. And I want the cosine. And so the cosine is going to be my x, which is a negative root 3 halves. On number 5, find the exact value of the other trigonometric functions if theta is a negative 7 25ths and it's in quadrant 2. So it really could have been, since cosine is negative in 2 and 3, but they're telling us it's in 2. So this is where we're focusing. Okay. And so I'm going to draw a triangle in. Okay, not drawing this to scale by any means. Okay. And let's say that this is our angle. Zoom in a little. Right here, that's theta. And our cosine is a negative 7 25ths. So this is going to be a negative 7. This is going to be a 25. I'm going to use Pythagorean. So I'm going to have a negative 7 squared plus y squared equals 25 squared. When I work that out, I get a 625 minus 49, which gives me a 576. I take the square root of that, and that ends up being a 24. So this is going to be a 24, and it's going to be a positive 24. So the sine is going to be opposite, which is 24, over hypotenuse, which is 25. Cotangent is going to be x over y. So that's going to be a negative 7 over 24. On number 6, we want 2 values of the angle that is going to be in radians, where my sine is going to equal negative 1/2. So my sine is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. And then my sine is my y value. So I want my y to be a negative 1/2. So it's going to be here and here. And that in terms of radians is going to be 7 pi 6 and 11 pi 6. Those are going to be the two angles from 0 to 2 pi that would give me a sine of a that's equal to a negative 1/2. Okay, so secant has as its reciprocal cosine. So the cosine, I'm going to take the reciprocal of a negative root 2, which is going to be a negative 1 over root 2. I rationalize that, and I get a negative root 2 over 2. And my cosine is going to be negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So 2 and 3, that's where my cosine is negative. So that's where my secant is also going to be negative. And I want where my cosine is going to be a negative root 2/2. That's going to be here and here. So that is going to be 3 pi fourths and 5 pi fourths. Those are going to be our two answers. On C for tangent. So tangent is positive in quadrant 1 and 3, because that's where your x and y are both the same signs, both positive or both negative. So when I divide, I'm going to get a positive. Now, when I'm thinking about this, I know I'm either going to be at like 6 or thirds. So remember, it's y over x. And notice that I have a root 3 and not like a root 3 with a 3 on bottom where maybe I rationalize it. So I'm thinking I want my root 3/2 on top and my 1/2 on bottom. But let's just double check it. So if I take this and I multiply by the reciprocal, yeah, I end up with a root 3. So I want my root 3/2 to be my y and my 1/2 to be my x. So root 3/2 for my y, 1/2 for my x. So that's going to be at pi thirds and at 4 pi thirds. And that's the end of the video for part 1.